Good evening and welcome to Introduction to Sociology. I am Ms. Linton and I will be your online instructor for this course, and we will be talking a lot for the next 3.5 months. I plan to do a short video and upload it on Sunday evenings. Some will have a little bit more information than others. It really will be depending on, I want to pull out a couple of things, point some more important things out that come from the chapter, maybe give you some stories that you can relate to and kind of have a better understanding. Every module has a discussion. You're going to have to post a discussion. Let me just tell you that on these discussions, for the best grades, and these are a good part of your grades, the percentage, don't just write one sentence, two sentences, hey, and for example, you're coming up with being objective in sociology research. I don't think I could be objective, or I have a problem with abortion. Don't think that I could look at that and think that that's enough. I really want you to go in every topic and really start thinking out of the box. Think of things in society. Apply this. Look up a scholarly resource. Do some digging. And that's going to be your discussion post. They really need to be 300 words, and that's really not a lot. So the more effort you put in it, the better grades you're going to get. Now, talking about the next chapter, the first two chapters that you're going to read is looking at where did sociology come from, who are some of the major founding fathers, and the research methods. In chapter 1, the big people that you really need to know, now everybody's important, don't get me wrong, but the ones that you're going to hear a lot about through the next 3.5 months are Karl Marx, who is not a sociologist. He wrote the Communist Manifesto. But he gives us a really big foundation for the sociological theory or sociological perspective, it's the same thing, of conflict theory. Emil Durkheim is a huge name. He's a functionalist. And then Auguste Comte, you need to know his name because he's the father of sociology. He gets all that credit. And then a third sociologist that you need to know is Herbert Mead. You'll hear some about him, not as much as Emil Durkheim and Karl Marx, but Herbert Mead comes from the symbolic interactionalist theory or perspective. I have uploaded a cheat sheet for you to read. It kind of puts it a little bit more descriptive than the book. There's also some great videos. I really like Crash Course for Sociology that are the videos on that you have on Moodle. I suggest reading and printing out the sociological perspective cheat sheet. So, and pulling it out every time you read your chapter, because every chapter is going to say, looking through this from the functionalist perspective, or the symbolic interactionalist perspective, or the conflict theory perspective. So get to know that really well. For your research methods, and one of the discussion topic is being objective. Coming from research methods, what do sociologists do? There's a lot of different careers for sociologists. They do research, they do surveys, they go out and interact. And so you have the field study research, and that is participation in ethnography. Participation. One of the projects that I did for sociology, and this was a long time ago, but it was back in the 80s, and this was really before a lot of buildings and schools were required to have ramps and accessibility for people that were handicapped. And so one of the projects I did as a participation was I rented a wheelchair, and I was in a wheelchair for 5 days. That was very difficult at a college. It was a small college that had no ramps to get anywhere. And I had to rely on my friends. And I also went into public to see how people responded to those that were physically handicapped. Ethnography. Ethnography is more going into and looking for patterns. Survey, you've all taken a survey or been asked to take a survey. Case studies are less. That could be, I want to know more about children that have been left in the woods or have had no contact with humans. How does that work? Well, a lot of that does not happen often, so you're going to have to rely on one particular case. That's a little bit more difficult because you're only going based on one case or two cases. Experiments, and then secondary data analysis, and the book talks about each of those. The big question is, as a sociologist, sociology is about asking questions. Some of my questions in my past and some of my research has been, is domestic violence higher in the South than any other region? I have an interest in domestic violence. I've done a lot of research and writing on that. And I actually was very surprised to come through all the research. A lot of surveys were done. I looked at secondary data. I looked at what other people had done. And my hypothesis was wrong. The South was actually the third. The Midwest was the highest. The North was second. And then the South was the third, second lowest of domestic violence cases. So sometimes you're going to have to come out. Now, you might want to go, but I want to be right. You can't, as a sociologist, change things and look at data and say, well, I'm just going to kind of move this here and there to make my hypothesis correct. Then it's no longer objective. And so I want you to think out of the box after you read this chapter and you go to write your discussion post. One last thing on the discussion post. I will be picking 2 weekly top writers. And on Wednesday, it will be Wednesday night or Thursday, I will post a very short video and kind of respond to the discussions, because there's a lot of you. Instead of writing each one, I will be grading, but I'm going to kind of put everything together to see what I found through all the writings. And then I will choose 2 top writers of that week, and I'll announce it. So good luck with that. And I am always open to email. Usually get back to you very quickly, but it's usually going to be in the evenings that I am able to sit down and answer emails. So, and as I put in the schedule, usually between 5 and 9, I will be, maybe 10, I'll respond to emails from that day. If it's later than that, it's going to be the next day. Well, good luck. I look forward to getting to know each of you through your writing. I've enjoyed all of the icebreakers, getting to know you. And again, I am available through email at any time. Good night and good luck.